The 437th edition of the MMA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog has added Pick'em Scorchers where you can win 100 times your entry. That's right, turn $5 into $500 in just one game. Plus, every Sunday, they're giving away $100,000. Promo code SGPN at Underdog Fantasy for a 100% deposit bonus of up to $500. And we're also brought to you by Game Time. Last minute tickets, download the Game Time app and create an account to use promo code CFBX for $20 off your first purchase. And next, we're brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting research platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit hofbets.com and use promo code SGPN to get 50% off your first month and start making smarter bets today. And we're giving you guys a $3,000 prize. That's right, our NFL Second Chance Survivors contest presented by Corey Pinkston and the Barking Dogs Properties. Feel free to enter. Just go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/survivor.
Hi-ho, Degenerinos. Welcome to another action-packed exciting episode of the MMA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, episode 437, it says on my screen, and that is correct. This one's going to go out to John McDessie, JP Buys, Shane Young, Tucker Lutz, AJ Fletcher, Andre Fiallo, Carl Deaton, and Camuela Kirk. Pour out a little liquor for all those fighters. Gone but not forgotten. Thank you for coming to the show. I am still the ghost of Jeff Fox, Chalkx, Fox. If you're watching, you know what that means. Yes, we're on YouTube still. If you want to watch us and listen to us, YouTube's the spot to be. Obviously, we're in your iPod catchers as well. Make sure you download us there. We are going to finish up our UFC 296 episode right now. This is the main card and our fancy dancy picks. As you see, there's someone with dreamy eyes beside me here. Sadly, he's not sitting beside me in real life, but virtually there he is. It's one and only Daniel Gumby Vreeland. Hello.
Yeah, so you guys will notice we're already making improvements to our YouTube. We only played the theme music one time this episode, which is
it's early.
It's early still, but we huge advantages we're making, and I think we're starting to get the hang of it now. 2 episodes into the video age.
Sure we are. We'll see. All right, we got UFC 296. I usually ask you before we make picks, your thoughts on the odds for an event. I didn't do that last episode. I should have, though, because there are a lot of wide odds in this event. We took a lot of big dogs, which meaning there's a lot of big wide odds.
And you'll notice almost all of them too are like the Middle Eastern or Eastern Bloc fighter has the negative 600 number next to their name, right?
Yeah, weird how that works.
Yeah, it's almost like they're playing that when they went to Abu Dhabi. And, we'll talk about a few of them on this show, but they clearly are trying to build up a viewing base over there. And, maybe that's for the best, maybe that's not for the best, but I do think there are a number of them who, and we've talked about this before. I think I called it the Russian rub once or twice. There are plenty of people who have a Russian sounding name. And as a result, their numbers are probably wider than they ought to be. And of course, on the prelims, go back and listen to the prelims or watch the prelims or whatever it is you do. We found some numbers we thought were exploitable based on that fact. So, there's plenty of goodness to go around.
Yep. Munaf, the machine, always bets on everyone whose name ends in Ov, right? OV. That's his thing, I think.
That's his thing. I don't know if it's still his thing. He needs to show up in the MMA Gambling Podcast Discord a little bit more often. So we'll
busy
try
time for that man, though.
Yeah,
he's got baseball, he's got football. He's NBA starting up. He's a busy guy.
Somebody should let him know baseball's over. Nobody's watching baseball anymore.
True. Yep, no one's watching baseball. That's true.
No.
There's 2 Ovs going head to head in the opener. So what would he do with that fight?
I think there's something very clear to do. And I'll talk about it in a second, but I think there's something we could do.
Yes. All right. Well, let's just kick into that right now, shall we? Forget the ad reads. We don't need money. Let's go right into the main event, not the main event, the main card. I usually say it's 10 p.m. Eastern time start for the pay-per-view portion. No, not this week. 2 p.m. Eastern is the start time for this card. They're doing it local time in Abu Dhabi. That would be Saturday, as per usual, October 21st. UFC 294, the Etihad Arena, Abu Dhabi, UAE. E, aka Fight Island. First fight, the Ovs, Battle of the Ovs, bantamweight Saeed Nurmagomedov versus Muin Gafurov. I shall tell you about Tajik first. That would be Gafurov's nickname. He's 18-5, 10 knockouts, 2 submissions, never been finishing a fight. 0-1 in the UFC, 2-1 over his last 3, 3-3 over his last 6. Was a regional champion. Used to fight at featherweight, 2013 pro MMA debut. Also competes in Sambo. He's 4 years younger than Nurmagomedov. He's outstruck his one UFC opponent by 0.17 strikes a minute, despite losing. He's at plus 210. Nurmagomedov, this is the one that's not related, right?
I don't believe he's
related.
Stylistically, he's not very related.
Right,
I know
yeah.
Usman is related.
Right.
And then
Okay. How about Umar?
Umar is related.
Okay. I don't think Saeed's someone.
I think Saeed is not. Yeah.
Okay. To Habib, obviously, what we're talking about. All right. This Nurmagomedov is 17-3, 4 knockouts, 5 submissions, never been finished in a fight. He's 6-2 in the UFC, 4-1 over his last 5. He did lose his last fight. Used to fight down at flyweight and up at featherweight. Was a regional champion. 2009 pro MMA debut. An inch of height, 2 inches reach over Gafurov. Better striking stats, more active landing strikes. Positive strike differential of 1.39 strikes a minute, minus 218. I go first in the main card. Normally, I will take Nurmagomedov here. Better striker, which is a funny thing to say with a Nurmagomedov, but yeah, I think that's what Dan was hinting at there. But yeah, better fighter than Gafurov. So yeah, easy pick here.
And Gafurov's just had trouble with strikers, right? Like, and maybe not even, maybe strikers is the wrong word. Like he has trouble with striking, maybe perhaps is a better way to put it. Cause I don't think of John Castaneda, the Sexy Mexi, as being a particularly, like polished striker or anything, but Sexy Mexi dropped him. He's actually been knocked down in his only 2 fights on Fight Metric. That is both by Sexy Mexi. And one time he got dropped by, was it Chad and Hilliger? He fought on Contender Series. And so like, I don't know. For me, that's not a great sign. And it's not like he's going to go in there and out wrestle Said Nurmagomedov either. Like he got out grappled by Chad and Helliger. So like if you're getting out grappled by like a Canadian guy, you're probably not out grappling a dude whose last name is Nurmagomedov. And yeah, Said's got some issues. He's not a perfect grappler. He's not a perfect wrestler. But man, I mean, like his striking's pretty devastating. He hits really hard. And I know he's got some recent submissions on his record, but like I actually think his striking here is going to be the big difference maker.
Yep, it is true. It was the sexiness that dropped him in the one fight. So we'll have to give him the give him that. It wasn't the striking.
It was just the Sexy Mexi being sexy.
Yeah, couldn't handle the Sexy Mexi. It's true. All right, now I changed my mind. We are going to have ad reads because I do want to make some money. All right, we're going to tell you about the mothership, SGPN, their Second Chance Survivor, and the NFL Gambling Podcast review contest that's going on right now. Already knocked out of your NFL Survivor. Don't worry, we got you covered with the SGPN Second Chance Survivor, presented by Corey Pinkston and Barking Dog Properties. $3,000 are up for grabs. Winner takes all. Start this weekend, so sign up now. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/survivor, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/survivor, and the NFL Gambling Podcast guys are doing a review contest. Leave an Apple Podcast review with your favorite touchdown related bet for this weekend. Biggest winner gets a $50 SGPN gift card. Make sure to include your YouTube username in the review so we can contact the winner. And finally, Underdog Fantasy has a way to play alongside your favorite football team all season long. Underdog has just introduced Scorchers. Go 5 for 5 and pick them Scorchers and enjoy a spicy 100 times payout. Everybody likes spicy 100 times payouts. And for a limited time, Underdog is extending the first deposit bonus up to $500. Plus, if that's not enough for you, $100,000 Sundays continues on Underdog Fantasy. 10 lucky players will win $10,000 each week. Do you have a spicy Underdog play, Gumby? One of the ones on the screen, perhaps?
Yeah, I'm good with Underdog Fantasy. I'm going to take the higher than on Islam Makhachev's significant strikes. Whether you think he's going to win or not, this fight is going to go for a little while. So you might as well trust that he's going to land some shots in there. And those two, I mean, like you could do the same with Volkanovski when they post those numbers, but the one I'm just looking at right now is Makhachev. So yeah, give me the higher than on his significant strikes.
55.5 is not a lot of strikes in a 5-round fight.
No, and especially to like they spent a lot of time on the feet last time, so I see that happening again.
All right, so watch along, make your picks, and maybe make a little cash over on Underdog's mobile app or website, underdogfantasy.com. And when you sign up with the promo code SGPN, Underdog will double your first deposit up to $500. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code SGPN. What are we moving on to next? We're going up to middleweights now. Ikram Aliskerov, another Ov, versus Warlley Alves. All right, Alves is 14-6, 4 knockouts, 4 submissions. He's been knocked out twice, submitted once. 8-6 in the UFC. He's stepping in here on short notice. He's lost 2 straight fights. He's only won 1 of his last 4 and 2 of his last 6. He's not won a fight since January 2021. He went 3-0 in the Ultimate Fighter and was the champion of that season. Used to fight at welterweight. 2011 pro MMA debut. He's been outstruck over his UFC career by 0.88 strikes a minute. He's at plus 475. Aliskerov, 14-1, 5 knockouts, 5 submissions. He's been knocked out once. 1-0 in the UFC, won that fight via knockout. 1-0 in Contender Series. That's part of a 6-fight winning streak. He's not lost since April of 2019, and that was to Khamzat Chimaev. Aliskerov has missed weight a couple times in the past, so keep an eye on that if you're thinking of betting this fight. 2012 pro MMA debut. He's a Sambo world champion. Got 1 inch of height, 4 inches of reach on Alves. He's a year younger. He did get outstruck over his 2 fights in the octagon by 1.63 strikes a minute. He's a minus 599. There's one of those funky lines for you. Okay, Gumby, go.
Easy, Aliskerov. Like, it's just like, the bottom line is Warlley Alves taking this on short notice. He doesn't belong in this fight. Most of his fights have happened at 170 pounds, and he's up against a guy who's a better grappler than him. So, like, what left do we have for Warlley Alves at that point? Because, Warlley Alves does have some knockout power, but, like, his better side of his game is his, like, snatching a guillotine or something like that, and he's not going to do that against Aliskerov. Aliskerov, I mean, he's looked like a beast on the ground with the exception of the Khamzat fight. And even then, he stuffed the takedowns of Khamzat up until the end of that fight. So, yeah, give me Aliskerov. Negative almost 600 probably isn't something that I'm trying to play straight up, but I could see myself squeezing him into a parlay if you really needed it.
Throw him in a parlay. Yep. Everything what Gumby said, I double on this one. Aliskerov is the pick. All right. Let's move on to not an Ov, but a Ev for the next couple fights. Light heavyweights, Magomed Ankalaev versus Johnny Walker. Should be Honey Walker. If he really, I guess he's not Brazilian anymore. He's Irish now. All right, we're gonna tell you about him first. Walker, 21-7, 16 knockouts, 3 submissions, been knocked out 4 times, submitted once. 7-4 in the UFC. He's won 3 straight fights. 1-0 in Contender Series. Multiple regional championships on his
mantle.
Correct. Get the shirt, sportsgamblingpockets.com/store. Use fight up at heavyweight, 2013 pro MMA debut. 3 inches taller than Ankalaev, 7 inches of reach on him. More active landing strikes. He's got a positive strike differential of 1.27 strikes a minute. He's at plus 285. Ankalaev, 18-1-1 with 10 knockouts. He's been submitted once. 9-1-1 in the UFC. He drew in his last fight, which was with Jan Blachowicz for the vacant title in this weight class, light heavyweight. Ankalaev was a regional champion, also a Sambo champion. He's got a positive strike differential of 1.4 strikes per minute, and he's at minus 350. I'm going crazy. I'm taking Walker. I'm going with chaos here. I like his massive size. I like his striking power. I think he can catch Ankalaev. Obviously, Ankalaev is going to have the grappling advantage here. He himself is a good striker as well. But like I said, I'm going nutty this week. Give me the big dog and Walker.
I wasn't ready for that one. I joked on the last episode when we talked about an underdog. I was like, oh, yeah, I saw you doing that. I did not see this one.
Yeah, you can never figure me out, can you?
No, I mean, well, just when you think you got him figured out, that's when it messes up. No, my problem here with Walker and why I'm not going with him, and trust me, I think it would be more fun if he won, because let's face it, like, Ankalaev, like, screwed up a title shot by not, like, putting his foot on the gas and winded up in a draw, and maybe the fight not being uber exciting wound up costing him. Probably should have been the champion, and, like, he still is probably the best light heavyweight in the UFC right now, right? Like, that might actually be a fact, and it's the mixture of takedowns and technical striking for me that I think gives me issues with Johnny Walker. And yeah, he is bigger, and he's been being a little safer while still having enough of his nuttiness to, like, cause chaos. But, like, I mean, like, really, we're talking about Ankalaev being undefeated if he did not get submitted by Paul Craig with 1 second left. In like since then he's learned from that. He's safer, he's smarter. I think the takedowns are going to be there against Johnny Walker. I mean, like he clearly showed he could strike with Jan Blachowicz, and if he could strike with Jan Blachowicz, I mean, like yeah, Johnny is rangier, but I think the technicality there could be pretty much a moot point. So I'll take Ankalaev. Maybe I don't feel super great about the line, but I do think he's going to win this fight.
Okay, there you go. I went crazy. Gumby did not. So we're switching roles here in the video era, apparently. All right, we're already up to our co-main event. It is a middleweight fight. Kamaru Usman versus Khamzat Chimaev. All right, I'm going to tell you about Usman first. The Nigerian Nightmare. He's 20-3 with 9 knockouts, 1 submission. He's been knocked out once, submitted once. This is a short notice fight for him and his middleweight debut. Couple of things to keep in mind there. Used to be the 170-pound long-time champion at welterweight, 2-0 in the Ultimate Fighter and the champion there as well. 15-2 in the UFC. He's lost 2 straight fights, both to Leon Edwards. He's not won a fight since November 2021. 2012 pro MMA debut. Was a wrestling champ in college, an inch of reach on Chimaev. He's got a positive strike differential of 1.71 strikes a minute. He's at plus 260. Chimaev Boars is the nickname. 12-0, 6 knockouts, 5 submissions. He's 6-0 in the UFC. Won his last fight via submission. That was back in September 2022. He's fight at welterweight. Was a wrestling champion. 2 inches of height, 7 years younger than Usman. More active landing strikes and better grappling stats than Usman. He's got a positive strike differential of 3.32 strikes a minute, minus 275. Go ahead.
So I'll take the crazy man back. I'm going Kamaru Usman. And I'm going to tell you, too, here's the thing. If you're going to bet Kamaru Usman in your breakdown in 2 seconds, and probably be wildly convinced to do so, just wait till almost fight time. Because with all of this stuff coming out about is Kamaru Usman's knee badly damaged, is he a shell of himself or whatever, the number is just going to keep going up. It's not going to stop where it is. It's going to be much, much higher come fight time. So if you're like me and you're going to go with Kamaru Usman here, wait till it's fight time and maybe it'll be plus 400 and you'll really feel good about it. Because for me, the bottom line is that I just don't trust Khamzat striking. Everybody's talking about, him coming in here, Usman coming in here rather, having had a layoff and a losing streak and it's being on short notice. Khamzat's on a huge layoff himself. And who knows what he's been doing in that time? Who knows what he looks like at this time? But for me, the big thing is compare their 2 fights with Gilbert Burns. And yeah, everybody's going to say, but there's the Leon Edwards fights in between for Usman. If you ignore those fights with Leon Edwards, where he did get outstruck, he beat the brakes off of Gilbert Burns on the feet. He knocked him out in 2 rounds, and he looked better boxing. And, of course, you could squeeze the Masvidal knockout in there, too, if you want, or any of the other ones. I just think, for me, Usman has got the boxing to beat Khamzat on the feet. Now, that it does mean it does have to stay on the feet, because Khamzat versus Gilbert Burns did not look good boxing. He did win that fight by the skin of his teeth, but it took him 15 minutes, and it took Gilbert Burns looking like he was slowing down a little bit. So I like Usman to be the better boxer. Now, he could go in there and get plowed over. His knee could be entirely blown out. He could have Tyron Woodley syndrome, where he is no longer the same form of himself anymore. He's just an absolute shell of himself. But I'm still going to take him because the number I'm getting on him is crazy, and I think he can box.
What Gumby's referring to is a video was posted. Was that from today? I guess he was grappling with.
It was whenever the open workouts were. I think it was this morning. He was grappling with Justin Gaethje, and when he hit the ground, people seemed to think he said it popped or my knee popped. Gaethje has since then said that they were talking about whether or not his head hit the mat. So I'm not sure what the misheard lyric here was. And then there's people circling him getting off the mats. It seems like he's shaking his left leg off. And look, it might be more than they're saying it is. He might just be making sure that Khamzat doesn't target it, and that's why he's playing it off. But I don't know. I never try to take too much into that. If he goes in there and keeps his feet in boxes, you'll forget all about that real quick.
Yeah. No, I'm not picking him though. I'm picking Chimaev. There's real concern that Usman is on his way out and down.
You think he's Tyron Woodley?
That's what your lovely co-host on Top Turtle was suggesting that maybe it's Tyrone Woodley. There obviously is a history of that. Older welterweight, dominant welterweight champions, all of a sudden, once they lose, they are out the door and not very good. So, but I'm going to take a bigger, bigger younger fight over Usman on short notice any day of the week. Not that I am totally buying into the Chimaev or drinking the Kool-Aid on Chimaev, because he's shown plenty of holes, like you said, especially the Gilbert Burns fight, and plus he just doesn't fight often enough for my liking. So, but neither does Usman. That's the thing. Usman's fought twice in the past 2 years himself, so it's not like he's Mr. Active. So I think Chimaev is a safe pick here, and getting Khamzat Chimaev at only minus 275 may look like a steal, because you don't usually get him at a low line like that.
I don't think it'll be a steal.
All right. Well, we'll see as Gumby drinks out of his piss jug there. We'll tell you about, I'm going to make him do a spit take one of these episodes. You just wait. I'm going to tell you about Game Time. Game Time is the place where you can go spend some of the money we're winning for you, because Game Time is the fastest growing ticketing app in the country for a reason. You get images of your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. Buy tickets in a matter of seconds, 2 taps and you're set. Tickets are sent directly to your phone, so you never have to dig through your email. Snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CFBX for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CFBX for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. And Hall of Fame bets. Win bigger by betting smarter this NFL season with Hall of Fame bets, the sports betting analytics platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Oh, I said limes. I didn't last episode. I did again. Game lines. Research every NFL, NBA, MLB, and soccer bet with historical stats and data. Enter any parlay idea in a Hall of Fame bets revolutionary parlay optimizer tool to get hit rates broken down by leg, as well as an expected probability for the entire parlay. Sort all players by hit rate for any bet to learn which players are hot and which picks have value. Stop betting in the dark and join over 30,000 users researching with Hall of Fame bets to craft more intelligent, data-driven parlays. Download the Hall of Fame bets app or visit hofbets.com and use code SGPN to get 50% off your first month today. Start researching and start winning with Hall of Fame bets. All right, we are up to our main event already. It's another short notice fight for the lightweight championship of the world. Islam Makhachev, the champion, going up against the featherweight champion of the world, Alexander Volkanovski. This is one of the champ versus champ fights that used to be all the rage back in the day. All right, Alexander the Great Volkanovski. What a great nickname. He's 26-2, 13 knockouts, 3 submissions. He's been knocked out once. 13-1 in the UFC. The one came from Makhachev the first time they fought. He's the champ, as I said, at featherweight. He's successfully defended it 5 times already. I wish he would just stay there and keep defending it, but nonetheless, here he is on short notice for this fight. Won his last fight via TKO. Multiple regional championships on his
mantle.
Correct. Get the shirt, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/store. Used to fight at welterweight, which is funny to think of, but used to be well over 200 pounds. Did you know that, Dan? When he played rugby?
I think they maybe mentioned it a couple of times. That he was a big boy.
2012 pro MMA debut. 1-0 as a pro boxer. An inch of reach on Makhachev. He's almost 3 times more active landing strikes than Makhachev is. He's got a very robust strike differential, plus 2.89 strikes a minute. He's at plus 230. Makhachev, 24-1, 4 knockouts, 11 submissions. He's been knocked out once. 13-1 in the UFC. He is the champion. He's defended the title 1 time against this very man, Volkanovski. That was been his only title defense thus far. He's in the midst of a 12-fight winning streak. He's not lost since October 2015. 2010 pro MMA debut for him. A Sambo world champion. This is a big Sambo card. 4 inches taller than Volkanovski, 3 years younger than him. Better striking stats, better grappling stats, and he's got a positive strike differential of 1.08 strikes a minute, minus 250. Since it's a rematch, I'm going to go with the guy who won the first fight. Give me Makhachev for many, many reasons. He won the first fight. Volkanovski taking this on short notice. I would really like Volkanovski to win. I think it would be fun. Even though I'm not big on people being champions on 2 different weight classes, it kind of muddies things up. And yeah, he's a good guy. I like watching him fight, so I would not mind him winning, but I don't see, he didn't win the first fight, and now, even though it was close, he technically did not win, and now he's stepping in here on short notice against Makhachev on quote-unquote home turf. I like Makhachev at a pretty decent number.
I like how you saw my face and had to switch the word technically.
I didn't see your face. I'm looking at my spreadsheet. You said something. What did you do?
No, you said again. You said he didn't win, and I went like this, and then you said,
"Oh, yeah, I heard you breathe." Then, so I had
and immediately after you were like, technically he did not win. So yeah, no, I'm going Volkanovski here. In my decision's really clear. Like if you're betting this fight, I can't imagine putting that kind of juice on Makhachev because like it was razor close, right? It was a coin flip in the first place. And even if you're saying that like, okay, well, Volkanovski's on short notice now, that should make a difference. Does it really make a 200 difference? Because right, this was if you watch that first fight and you put it together again immediately after, it was damn near a pick 'em, right? Like we were talking about this fight being so close the first time. Some people, myself included, think Volkanovski won the first one. And now you're telling me I can get him at what, plus 200, plus 210, plus, depending on where you're looking. Like, I think that's criminal. And yes, again, I'll acknowledge the short notice piece to it, but I'll also say, which of these guys do you think is more likely to develop a piece to their game that you hadn't seen before? Which of these two do you think is more likely to show up with a wrinkle in his striking or a piece of his scrambling that's different than it was before? The answer is Volkanovski. Volkanovski is the more complete MMA fighter. Volkanovski is the guy who seems to improve every time out. Whereas like Makhachev is just like what we've always known he was, right? Like he's a damn good wrestler with some pretty decent striking, which is why he gets by being just like the standard grapple only kind of guy. So I think like, yes, he's good, but I don't see like wild development out of him every single time he fights. So like, I'm going to go with the one who I think is probably more likely to develop. And I think it's just like a tremendous value on the cards.
Okie dokie. There you go. You got both sides of the fight, which is basically how the prelims went. If you haven't listened to that yet, we differ on quite a few of our picks. All right, let's recap our picks and we'll give you our fancy stuff here. I have Makhachev. He has Volkanovski. I have Chimaev. He has Usman. I have Walker. He has Ankalaev. We both have Aliskerov. We both have Nurmagomedov. All right, locks, dogs, props, parlay time. Gumby will kick things off with a lock.
I'm going to start, and I'm going to need your numbers here because under our new format, I don't have my spreadsheets open and whatnot. I'm going to take Nurmagomedov. I think him against Muin Gafurov is seemingly the easiest slam dunk lock here. It's definitely the best number on the board. There's a couple other people who I like just a tiny bit more, but their numbers are way more inflated. So I'll take Nurmagomedov at whatever number you now tell me he is.
Minus 218.
Yeah, I'll take that.
All right. I will take Trevor Peek as the underdog. Not underdog, he was, but as a favorite against Yaya, minus 155. That's a good number there. If you want to hear why, listen to yesterday's episode.
That's a bold one. I like him. I mean, any Trevor Peek one is it. Yep, it piques my interest. And hey, look at that. Underdog of the week. I'm gonna go Abu Azaitar. I think. Man, dude. Cedric Dumas would have lost to Cody Brundage had Cody Brundage not jumped guillotine 7 times. So I don't know how I can not take a guy who strikes really well against a guy who got outstruck by Cody Brundage.
Yep, it's true. I'm having trouble picking the underdogs. All my underdogs are pretty big underdogs. I don't have any safe. I don't have any safe feeling ones.
I have one that I thought you were going to take. Let's see if you're
Elliot.
Yeah.
Elliot. Yeah. I'll take Tim Elliott as my underdog because Gumby's in on that one too. So it makes me feel a little more confident. So Tim Elliott over Mohamed Makhachev plus 350. That'll be a nice hit.
That's why I thought you were going there too, is that we were both on it. Prop of the week. I'm going to get big and loud for my prop of the week. I'm going to go with Nurmagomedov. And I like Nurmagomedov a lot. I'm going to go Nurmagomedov hit the knockout. Muin Gafurov, hard guy to knock out, but he has been dropped in both of his, his Contender Series fight and his UFC fight. I think he gets dropped again here. Said is just a little bit more dangerous than his other opponents were. Plus 500. Give me that all day.
Whew. All right, so Gumby's going double on Nurmagomedov. I'm going double on Peek. Nurmagomedov and Peek are our favorites. Azaitar, Elliott are the dogs. Nurmagomedov knockout, Peek knockout are our prop picks. Now it's time for the 2-fight parlay that we call the Super Hungerman Jog Superfan parlay. Go ahead.
So I'm gonna go double knockout here. I think that first of all, I'm gonna take Abu Azaitar, my underdog of the week. I think he's gonna hit the knockout here. I think Cedric Dumas is just going to stand in front of him way more than he needs to. I think that's a bad move. I think bottom line is just that I don't think Cedric Dumas is as good on the feet as people think he is, despite the fact that he's got some big KO power and stuff like that. So I'm going to take him by knockout here. I'm also going to stay on the prelims. I'm going to take Dudakova finishes this one inside the distance. Dudakova, again, maybe not somebody who you think of with like tons of finishes and stuff, but Jinh Fry has looked her age more and more lately. So Abu Zayatar by KO is plus 400. Then you can get Dudakova inside the distance. You don't have to pick sub or KO. You can just take either one. Inside the distance is plus 150. So when you pair them together, you're going to get plus 1150.
All right. Azatar, knockout Dudakova inside the distance plus 1150. We did it. Another one in the books. We'll be back on Sunday to recap and to count all our money. Make sure you get in the Discord and chat with us in there. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Discord. Twitter, SGPN MMA. Gumby runs that. He's also at Gumby Vreeland. I'm at Jeff Fox Writer on there and on Instagram. Substack. Get in my Substack. Enter my pick'em contest. moneymma.substack.com. Gumby's got a Top Turtle MMA podcast. You don't get to see him. You don't get to see or hear me. So probably positives all around. Tell the people who's on it this week.
We got Chris Lieben talking about MMA judging and refereeing. And then we're talking to Mohammed Naimov, who's on these prelims in Abu Dhabi.
The Hillman, yes. Good interviews. Make sure you listen to those. And all good things sports gambling is at Sports Gambling Podcast and sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. They're both .com. One of them /Patreon. Help us crush corporate gambling. Okay, Gumby, get us out of here.
All right, I'm Dana Gumby Freeland. He's Jeff Fox, and we will see you on Sunday.